Mariners lose 1-0. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost the first 2 games of this series. They've lost. They lost. They lost. It's pretty simple. They lost. You want to talk about how it happened? Nobody did a gosh dang thing on offense for 9 innings, and then in the 10th inning, Trevor Gott loads the bases, and Dalton Varsho rockets a ball over a fairly drawn-in outfield. I don't know if it would have been a hit or not. Either way, it would have scored the run. Who cares? 1-0. Mariners lose. Let's talk about some positives. There is an obvious one. Congratulations to Easton McGee. Did not see that coming for a lot of reasons. One, I didn't know that he was coming up. Number 2, I didn't think he would pitch that well. And taking a no-no into the 7th inning is pretty darn good. Far from dominant. Far from it. But, only the 1 walk, 45 of 64 pitches for strikes, and really your not MLB debut, but pretty darn close to it. Solid. Impressive. Think you give him another start. Absolutely. Absolutely has earned that right to be in that rotation, mainly because Chris Flexen's been just terrible. Interesting little bit of gamesmanship there. I do wonder if this happens if the Mariners are playing better. Like, if the Mariners are 14-13 and have won 4 of 5 instead of losing 4 of 5 or losing 3 of 4, I guess it would have been coming into this. Maybe you stick with Chris Flexen. Wonder if this was a little bit of desperation, a little bit of gamesmanship, but also maybe a little bit of desperation. It worked, or should have worked. It should have worked because, you should have been able to score 1 freaking run. Justin Topal was great. Paul Sewald was great. Matt Brash did his job. Any positives on the offensive side? Tom Murphy, a couple hits, and also a horrific pickoff. Can't happen, but a couple hits. Nice to see. Let's get into the uh-oh of it all. Julio Rodriguez leaves with back tightness. Looks like he picked up the back tightness on a stolen base attempt. It sounds precautionary. Here's my biggest concern. 1, back things have a tendency to linger. A little different for a 22-year-old, 40-year-old. My back, especially not being in the greatest of shape. My back, when it goes out, it's out. 22-year-old, probably going to recover okay, but it could be a lingering thing. Hopefully it's not a long-term lingering thing. But here's my biggest concern. Julio Rodriguez's speed is a big, big part of this offense, right? I think we all agree with that. Are they going to ask Julio to cool it with the stolen bases? Because they need his defense so bad and they need his offense. Nice to see that he's picking it up with the bat again after just a rough week and a half or so. But leaves the game. Would not be shocked if they gave him an extra day of rest. I thought Jared Kelenic. Here's the thing about Kelenic in center. I know the metrics really didn't like him last year or 2 years ago, excuse me. I don't agree with those metrics. I don't think he was great in center by any stretch of the imagination. And Julio Rodriguez is a much better athlete and should be in center field. I don't think he's the lost cause that some of those metrics suggested he was. Some poor routes. The ball got over his head a few more times than you'd like. I don't think he was a terrible center fielder. And he held his own today and made an excellent throw on the throw home. It ended up not mattering because, they did nothing after, or they weren't able to get a single out after. But he kept Bo Bichette, a very fleet of foot runner, home with a really, really strong throw. Really strong throw. So there's a positive. Oh, the negatives. Oh, the negatives. Oh man. I don't know who was worse between Hernandez and Big Dumper at the plate. So we'll just go with yes, but they were both awful. Awful. Uh, I'm giving again Hernandez just a smidgen of trying to do too much. And I'm also giving Rowley the benefit of the doubt of the fact that I just don't think he's healthy, although he sure looked healthy on that homer and the RBI single yesterday. So I don't know. I uh I mean, they were just lost at the plate. But here's the thing, everybody was. And here's the other thing we got to do today too, folks. I know we're frustrated. You got shut out. I Kevin Gausman pitched one of the best games I've seen somebody pitch this year, and I watch a lot of baseball. That splitter today was a borderline unhittable pitch. Did the Mariners make things a little bit easier for him? Yeah, because they kept getting in two strike counts. And man, that splitter. Here's the thing about the splitter. Um, Here's something instructive for you, guy who doesn't like my videos. Um, the thing about the splitter that makes it so tough to pick up is it looks so much like a fastball until the very last second. Now, that was an obvious point for some people, but I do have some people who like, I'll watch a game at a bar or I'll watch a game with some family and they'll go, why are they swinging at that? It's not a strike. It's not even close. It's so hard to pick that up because it has the exact same arm speed and it has the exact same spin, really, as your fastball. And then it just plummets. It just plummets. It's my favorite pitch. I know everybody's in love with sliders and changeups are great, and a splitter is kind of a changeup if you think about it. It's just a held in a, it's not a fork ball technically. A fork ball, you're talking about taking the ball and putting it like right between your index and middle finger, holding it through there. Whereas a splitter is a little more of a wider grip usually, but similar. Similar. Not a fork ball per se. I love the fork ball too. Kazuhiro Suzuki, I grew up on that. Tom Hankey before that. I am so gosh darn old. So I almost said gall darn old, which is like taking away one of the 7 swears I've given on this show. Anyway, Gaussman was great. Gaussman was so good. And if the Mariners would have shown better offensive ability the last couple of nights, it would be a lot easier to just go, this happens. This happens. You run into guys. But they haven't been good enough offensively to just say, "Oh, it's just Kevin Gausman is great." Uh, Toronto's good, man. Toronto is good. I kind of regret I picked Toronto to win the World Series the last couple of years, and I kind of regret not doing it now. I kind of regret it because they just seem to be putting stuff together. They're so deep. They have so many explosive offensive players. They have really good starting pitchers like Kevin Gausman and Alek Manoah, who Manoah isn't even pitching very well. And that bullpen got a lot better. And part of the reason that bullpen got better is the Teoscar Hernandez trade. I still make that trade every day of the week, as bad as mostly bad Teoscar has been. Eric Swanson, a strong reliever, but I think the Mariners bullpen depth is enough that you could justify it. And Adam Macko is they have plenty of arms like Macko. So I still make that trade. However, there's no question that Toronto got better with that deal in the bullpen because Eric Swanson is legit. It's very good. Splitter is tough to pick up again. All of that being said, you can't strike out 19 times. You can't. You can't strike out 19 times when you're not facing a Kerry Wood. All due respect again to Kevin Gausman and those pitchers. Given too much respect today, I guess, but that can't happen. You cannot strike out 19 times and only get something like 6 hits. And 2 of those from Tom Murphy. It's just not good enough right now, folks. And as much as we want to play that small sample size, we are now 1/6 through the season. Now that means we're going to do this 5 more times, right? We're going to have 27 games to judge 5 more times. That's how math works. But if they play like this over this next 27 games, I'm sorry, I don't care about how great the 29 and 39 comeback is. So many things had to go right to make the postseason last year. So many things, but you saw the glimpses of what could be. I don't want to use the word dynasty, but like a perennial playoff contender. You saw it, even 29 and 39, you still saw like those flashes of like what was going to make this team good in 2023 and beyond. I am not seeing those flashes at all right now, folks. I'm just not. I'm not. The starting pitching is really good. The starting pitching is excellent. The bullpen, I think, is going to be fine. The top of the lineup, I think, is going to be okay. The depth on this lineup is atrocious. Atrocious. They gave Ty France the night off, and I think that was a great call because he needed it. Be it because he's tired or because he just needed a night to see what was going on. And he came up, he did draw a walk. Great. They need Ty France to be at least above average offensive player. And considering he's at first base, it should be better than that. I don't know. It's kind of funny. The Blue Jays fans, they've got to be happy that they're getting a little bit of revenge on the Mariners. I bet they don't give a crap after what happened tonight. Congratulations to the Maple Leafs on making the second round of the postseason for the first time since 2004. It's pretty good. Pretty good feeling, I'm guessing. Pretty good feeling. I'd like to, I guess the Mariners technically made the second round last year. Just because there's added playoff teams, though. And the Mariners would have made the playoffs either way, even without the expanded, because they would have played Toronto in the wild card round or the wild card game, and they won that first game. So can't say that they wouldn't have made the playoffs without it. Certainly helped. Certainly did help, but congratulations to them. I'm at a loss of words. It's going to be hard to come up with anything to say for Molly Watt Monday. I'm being honest with you. But they look atrocious. And just being honest with you. Like I have to be, again, honest with folks about what I'm seeing from this team. I don't want to get yelled at about having this, like, being this negative dude, like that. I almost borderline enjoy the Mariners playing bad. I hate this. I hate what I have seen from this team over the first 6 of the season. I hate it. I want this team to win so badly for me and for my grandma and for all the people in Seattle who love this baseball team and have put up with such crap for 22 years. And there's plenty of time to get this figured out. But I do think you got to be a little bit aggressive with, like, saying that some of this stuff just isn't working. At what point do you do that if you're Jerry Dipoto? Or Justin Hollander? Because this clearly the big acquisitions so far, you made 3, right? You made 3 big acquisitions for this offense, right? AJ Pollock is hitting 118, 164, 275. Teoscar Hernandez is hitting 208, 241, 406. And Colton Wong, with a hit today, raises his slash to 152, 250, 167. Those are your big gets. And you take a look at what's ahead of you. You take a look at the teams that are also in this division. And, it's worth pointing out that it looks like, I hate this, by the way. It certainly helps the Mariners, unfortunately, but Jacob deGrom is hurt again. But you look at what Texas has done so far, a lot of it against very bad baseball teams. You take a look at what the Angels have done. You take a look at what the Astros have done. And, the Mariners are a fourth place team right now, and I think they deserve to be a fourth place team. And that's not acceptable. I wanted to end with this. I did a poll today on Twitter. I wish I knew how to share it. I do not. I asked how concerned folks are. You see, this team is, I'm going to give you the exact wording of the tweet. You are a fan of the Seattle Mariners. You see the team is 11-16 and playing the way it is. Your level of concern is, and so far 496 people have responded. 3.8% of people say little to none. 40.7% say some but too early. And 55.4% say significant. So it's not just me. It's clearly not just me. And I'm not saying Jerry Dipoto or Justin Hollander should make moves based on what fans are feeling, because that's stupid. You do know more than us. It's a fallacy to appeal to authority sometimes, but they do know more. I do trust the talent of Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander. They're smart guys. I wish they didn't lie for ownership as much as they did, but they're very smart guys. But I'm almost surprised that it's 3.8% who say little to none. Because how can you not be at least a little concerned right now? Well, I guess little. How can you at least not be some concerned? Because I am. I believe tomorrow we've got Marco Gonzalez going against Chris Bassett. Bassett's been kind of shaky, but, can be good. Been really impressed with what Marco's done the last couple. I hope he can keep it going. Because a sweep here, it just would not make me feel good. Would not make me feel good, because what that does is, even if you sweep AA Midland starting next week, you've guaranteed a losing road record. That's not good. That's not good. And it's tough to sweep a team. Even as bad as that team is, it's still tough. No runs. No runs. 2 runs over the last 18 innings, and I think shut out for the second time in 4 games, something like that. At least Gossman, it's like, all right, if you get shut out by Kevin Gossman, you can tip the old cap. Getting shut out by Matt Strahm is just completely unacceptable for a team that has a bunch of trying to copy the Rays platoon type stuff. It just should not happen. We'll see. We'll see what happens, because as much as I am excited about a lot of baseball left to play, I got to tell you, this first month has just been as disappointing a month as I can remember as a fan of the Seattle Mariners. Part of that due to expectations, and part of that just due to the fact that they have not played good baseball. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, please tell your friends. Follow me on Twitter at Crawford_MILB. Patreon.com/MLB Prospect Guides. Sports Sometimes, my other podcast, the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Really appreciate the support. And I hope you stick with it, because if this season keeps going, this will be an interesting experiment, won't it? I think it's going to get better, though.